It's the Road Show!
With your hosts, Andrew Romanella.
Wide world. Regular people should be in the Olympics so you can see how actually hard what some of these people are doing are. What's going on, everybody? Welcome into another edition of the Rome Show here on 12OutSports.com. Dingo TV channel 217. I am your host, Andrew Romanella. I got you for the next 30 or so. We have a big Tuesday show to talk about. Two completely different Monday Night Football games last night. One Miami Dolphins team that is atrociously bad right now, especially on offense. A big singular victory for both the Mets and the Braves, and the first day of playoffs 2024 in Major League Baseball. Very, very exciting. Happy October 1st to the people. I know. You are probably like, I cannot believe he just said it's October 1st. I know, but it is. It's October 1st. We are here, and the New York Mets are in the postseason. And if you were wondering, ladies and gentlemen, this is what it looks like. Actually, let's not start there. Let's start with what got them there, which was a Francisco Lindor homer in the ninth inning of quite possibly the craziest baseball game you've ever witnessed. Here is what we were starting with.
Lindor sends this one high and deep to center. Harris is watching. You gotta be kidding me. Lindor dumps it into the pen, and the Mets are back on top. Francisco Lindor's 33rd of Pierce Johnson, and the Mets have an answer. 8-7 New York.
Back. Pitch stays up, another slider. And Francisco Lindor, who when he hit it did not think he got it off, was just a...
And so Lindor helps the Mets survive 8-7 in game number one, a game that you saw the Braves go up 3-0. Then you saw the Mets go up 6-3. Then you saw the Mets closer blow the game in atrocious fashion. Besides the fact that Edwin Diaz did not cover first base on a fantastic play by Pete Alonso down the line that made it 6-4. He then went and proceeded to walk the next player in four batters, then give up a double to Ozzie Albies that cleared the bases. And in a flash, the Mets were going to the postseason. And then in a flash, the Braves were going to the postseason. And it took that Francisco Lindor home run right there to secure the victory. And then they sent Edwin Diaz back out there. Whatever. It ended up working. And here's the final out. The New York Mets are in the 2024 postseason.
Back to the postseason for the first time since 22. On the ground, Lindor. And they're going to do it behind Lindor. And Diaz slams his glove down. What a comeback by the Mets in this one. And they are on to the postseason as they beat the Braves in game one. 8-7.
That's right. You heard it. The Mets are on to the postseason.
Celebrate.
In the words of the immortal Bob Murphy, the Mets win the damn thing.
The Mets win the damn thing. And it couldn't have been harder to witness as a Mets fan this entire 6-day stretch from dating back to last Thursday when you find out, or last Wednesday when you find out, okay, we're not going to play Wednesday and we're not going to play Thursday. So now you're like, all right, we got to go beat the Brewers. And so you're like, we don't want to go to this Monday thing, needing to have to win a game. Neither team wanted that. Well, what happens? The Mets lose the first two. The Braves win their first two. Then they both lose the third game. And we're in the exact same spot. And no one controlled their destiny over the weekend. So naturally, we had to watch a day doubleheader, literally all day, 110, 4:30. Okay. And it lived up to the expectations. especially in game number 1. And then so much changed after that because the Mets didn't pitch Luis Severino smartly. And all of a sudden it comes out that Chris Sale's not pitching for the Braves. And you think to yourself, they were all in for game number 1, praying that they could leave Sale on the shelf. He's got some back spasms, it says, and he can get ready for the first round of the postseason. And even though Sale didn't pitch, the Braves found a way to win game number 2. And this is what it looked like as the Braves secured their spot in the postseason.
Crowd here at Truist, 41,000 on their feet for a long
7th straight year.
And the Braves back to the postseason for the 7th straight year.
And I think that's what you might get confused a little bit with the Braves sometimes because you forget how good they are because they're not winning championships like the New York Yankees in the 90s. So sometimes I think you forget how good the Bravos have been. 3rd longest active streak in Major League Baseball, as you see at the bottom of the screen there.
The Braves out west, wild cards for both of the Arizona Diamondbacks season is over.
So because of that victory, the Diamondbacks get knocked out of the postseason. The Mets now travel to Milwaukee to face the Brewers, and the Braves now travel to San Diego to face the Padres. And we officially have our postseason bracket set. If you take a look at the screen here, ladies and gentlemen, you'll be able to see what's trending in terms of the postseason for Major League Baseball. So we'll start in the American League. The Yankees are the number 1 overall seed. The Guardians are the number 2 overall seed. In the current format of Major League Baseball's postseason, the top 2 seeds on each side get a bye. So that'll be the Yankees. That'll be the Guardians. You got the Orioles and the Royals with the Royals. And you have the Astros and the Tigers. So that is your 6-team race in the American League. I'll pick those in a minute. And then we got the Dodgers and the Phillies as the 1s and 2 seeds in the National League. I'm going to predict this right now before I continue on. I truly believe one of those 2 teams is going to suffer a traumatically bad loss in their first round, which is the LDS. So the wild cards play the wild card, best of 3. Then we go to the divisional series, which is best of 5. Then you go to the championship series, which is best of 7. Then you go to the World Series, which is also best of 7. And then you have the Padres and the Braves squaring off, and you have the Brewers and the Mets squaring off. It's going to be a fun postseason. It was a lot of fun down the stretch. This year's down the stretch in Major League Baseball really made me feel like it mirrored that 2020 shortened season, which we've all talked so much about being so much fun. So there's your baseball postseason, okay? And let's make some predictions right now. And, listen, on this show, we don't make any predictions without a little bit of music. Okay, we'll make this quick. We'll start in the American League. Orioles, Royals. I'm going to take the Royals here. Some experience coming back from the Orioles from last year. I made this prediction a few years ago. I said over the next 10 years, the Orioles will be the best team in the American League East, and I want to stick with that prediction. That prediction must exist if I take the Orioles right here. And then they go face off against the Yankees, which I think would be an awesome battle. I'm going to take the Tigers over the Astros. That might seem like an upset, but I'm going with the hot hand. I've been riding the Tigers for a while now. They streaked hard to get to this position. Therefore, Tigers over Stros. And then on the other side, I'm going to take the Padres over the Braves, and I'm taking the Mets over the Brewers, baby. The Mets are hot. Same reason for the Tigers. The Braves, they've limped in. They don't have some of their best players. Will Sell pitch. So I want the Padres on one side. I want the Mets on the other. We will predict the LDS when we get there. I'm not saying those are my official picks, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just saying that's where I could see this thing going. We're going to take a quick timeout, and we are going to come right back here on the Rome Show, possibly hockey with Rockey, and a lot of football to discuss. Back after this 20-second commercial break.
US.com. US.com is the official place to place your bets and support 12-ounce sports. All you have to do is go to betus.com and type in the promo code 120Z and you'll instantly get a deposit bonus. This is America's favorite sports book. And remember, always gamble responsibly.
Oh, what's up? We back. 20-second commercial break. We are back here, and we have Rocky Romanella joining us. Quite frankly, that couldn't have been better timing. Took the commercial break, said to myself, Rocky told me he's calling today. His face won't be on the screen. So I took the commercial break and said, I have a real feeling he's going to call me during this commercial break, and here we are. So without further ado, one of our favorite, speak English, Andrew, favorite segment of the week, Hockey with Rockey. Now, inside the glass, Hockey with Rockey.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's Alexander Ovechkin here. How we doing?
Oh, Alex, we're good, man. How are you doing?
I am 42 goals away from breaking Wayne Gretzky's single-season goal record, and I'm feeling great about my old life right now. I'm feeling young, and I'm feeling ready to score a ton of goals.
I love that. Now, let's start there, Rocky, because clearly you're fired up about a little hockey. Do you think it's going to happen this year? Do you think OV is going to be able to score 42 this year, or do you think this could be something that is going to take some time to get to, maybe a second season of him attacking this?
When you look at it based on how he finished last year, the thought is no, he's not going to do it this year. But because he's got to go 40 plus. I think he scored like 32 last year. Okay. And if you watched Ovechkin get eliminated from the playoffs by the Rangers, it was as if he was like unable to participate. Right. Yes. So, but on the same token, I mean, he's Alexander Ovechkin, and his shots were down like 15 or 20% last year, which historically, like when he broke into the league, one of the things he was known for the most was his ability to shoot the puck at all times. Like, led the league in shots, let alone goals, led the league in shots. So if he can get himself back to his shot production, I think that there's a good chance we see him break the record this year.
I mean, I think that's a great point, and I think that's something that you don't really think about because you don't really see this. It's not even just him in hockey. It's one of those things when you were watching Tom Brady get over 40-something and play at a high level in the National Football League. It's just you don't prepare for this. I don't know if I ever would have thought two things, Rock. Ovi would be trying to break Wayne Gretzky's goal record, or, to be honest with you, I'd ever see the deterioration of Alexander Ovechkin to where his shot wouldn't be as strong or prominent, or if he's actually still playing, he doesn't look the same way he looked. I think that's the hard thing for me to believe in it because of that.
Well, it's just like, it's a crazy indication about how like that 40-year-old mark for an athlete really makes them seem like they're a 70-year-old normal human being.
Right.
Well, maybe not 70, but you know what I mean. Like you're old at 40 in sports, and old in a way that says, you can't participate. And in reality, you are, I don't know, in normal world and non-professional sports world at 40, you might be at the midpoint of your career where you're about to become, the level of success that these guys have seen. So I just think that is what's really on display here, in my opinion, is that, hey, 32 to 36, people start saying you're old. And then if you reach into the 36 to 40, there's really only two conversations. With Ovechkin, it's like, does he have enough in the tank to make it happen? Whereas on the flip side, you're looking at someone like Sidney Crosby, where all of the rhetoric is like, this dude could play till he's 50 years old.
Yeah. And he's somebody that had concussion issues, which is wild too.
Totally. And so, listen, we're fired up about baseball, by the way. Heard the Open. Pumped about the Mets. We're hoping that we bring the 2015 energy to the postseason.
Oh, yeah.
And the reason I also wanted to talk about Ovechkin, because obviously had a sad day in baseball yesterday with the passing of Pete Rose. And I was thinking about being the all-time hits leader and no one passing you. And that's how I was started. And obviously I was thinking about Ovechkin already because, the storylines have him in. But, the all-time leader in goals. No one can score more than you. No one can hit more than you. And I want you to imagine a world where Alexander Ovechkin is not in the NHL in the Hockey Hall of Fame.
It's wild to think. It really is wild to think. And what's sad is, as we cross over both conversations between the Pete Rose and the Alexander Ovechkin, now that Pete Rose has sadly passed away, I guarantee you he's going to get into the Hall of Fame. But that's obviously not the point you're making. The point is, how is the best person at his craft in your sport not idolized as the best person at the craft in your sport? And you're 1,000% correct. And what's interesting about the Ovechkin versus Gretzky one is I feel like in some lights, people feel like it was really easy for Gretzky to score during his era. And then in some lights, people are like, oh, Ovi will never be Gretzky. And it's like, well, I mean, if you think about it, it's kind of really impressive. He played on a Capitals team that wasn't the best team in the league for 15 years. It was a grind for him to get to a Stanley Cup. He wasn't on the Edmonton Oilers winning 4 straight cups, being with Mark Messier and some of the best players in the league. That wasn't Ovi's career. So in some ways, man, I find it almost a little bit more impressive. And I actually really hope he does do it this year because I think it would be awesome if he could do it right off into the sunset. And that's how we remember Alexander Ovechkin, which, Rock, I think is very deserving for his career.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's interesting too because you talk, Michael Jordan kind of is like our generational, like took the game from the old days to the modern days. Yet, basketball still has a litany of greats, as does hockey. But when you look at Gretzky today is almost probably more comparable, not even to LeBron James, but more to Steph Curry than anybody when you wanted to look at the ability to take the game into a different world, right? Like Gretzky's goals, honestly, the fact that no one's been able to break his record is more indicative of why Gretzky was so important to the game of hockey. Because I guess maybe not even Steph Curry, you would also even think Tiger Woods when it comes to Wayne Gretzky as, hey, you had a game that was this good for this long, and now this person comes in and pretty much sets a new standard for the entire next not just one, but 2 generations of athletes that are going to play in the sport. So when you see Ovechkin doing it now, and maybe even Connor McDavid has the potential to do it again, you're saying, wow, it took 20, almost 30 years for the league to usher in this group of talent that can even play or match the level of Gretzky, because so many people were impacted that you had so many good people, right? And so you've got Tiger Woods dominating. Well, that's where you've got this. That's why you haven't seen Rory take over or Jordan Spieth take over. And you've got a couple of these guys like Brooks lingering. No one's actually taken over the game of golf like Tiger because he ushered in the next generation. Same way we've seen the greats in hockey. And obviously you've got Crosby, you've got Ovechkin. But when it comes to the record, right, like it's more indicative of the generation of talent that it inspired than, oh, it was too easy to score. Does that make sense?
That makes plenty of sense. We're talking to resident hockey expert Rockey Romanella here. NHL season starts this week. It's on Friday, October 4th. The NHL Global Series will kick off in Prague, Czech Republic, and the Devils will take on the Buffalo Sabres. Rocky, give us some thoughts on the start of the National Hockey League season.
So I'm pumped for the hockey. I think the same way the NFL is unpredictable for bad reasons, I think the NHL will be slightly unpredictable, but for great reasons. I think that the talent in the league is really good. I think that the storylines for old and young are mashing up really well. Like the end of Ovechkin, as we talked about, Crosby coming to his end, but you've got Connor Bedard, you've got Connor McDavid really settling into his own. You've seen what the Kachucks have done in Florida, right? I just think that there's a really nice mash of old and new talent in the league right now that makes it really exciting. As far as that first game, two teams that are really exciting to watch right now, both with new coaching staffs from a Devils and a Sabres standpoint, both really loaded up, with young talent. The Sabres just named Rasmus Dahlin, their captain, who is really one of the top defensemen in the league, or young defensemen in the league. Maybe one day could push for a Norris Trophy. Owen Power on the defensive line right behind him. Two really good young goaltenders in Devin Levy and Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, just awesome names. And then you've got the Devils, who now really since, Jack Hughes and, Nico, really since Nico Heecher has come to the team, have been in this we're going to be awesome for a long time kind of mode. Now has a coach that kind of can bring that offense. So, that young Sabres Devils really kind of, to me, indicative of what I talked about from a league standpoint. And we're about to see some really great, the next generation, our kids. This is who our kids are going to be cheering for. I think that talent's really going to take off this year.
All right, Rocky, let's put you on the spot here. I really thought this would be a fun one for the people. Okay, I want you to give me one team on each side, the Eastern and the Western Conference, and here's your example. One team on each side that will completely do the opposite of what they did last year. So here's my example. Florida Panthers finished in first place of the Eastern Conference last year. Maybe you choose them as finishing slightly outside of the postseason or significantly worse. The Canadians were the worst team in the East. Do you plan on them getting to the postseason? Are there a team on either side, good going to bad and bad going to good, that you see? Or do you feel like it's more of a status quo? These younger guys and their teams are going to start to establish themselves, but we might not have any crazy parity change.
It's a great question. I tell you what, there's a lot of people worried about the Detroit Red Wings this year. Now, Detroit isn't going to be my pick because they didn't quite make the playoffs, but they made a strong push. They I think they were top 5 in the league in goals. You got to fact check me on that, but they were up to the top of the list in goals scored. But big question marks about their defensive unit and their goaltending. And it'll be interesting to see if Steve Yzerman expects, or that we all expect, a Steve Yzerman run franchise to take, similar to the Tampa Bay Lightning, or, will they find themselves where the Devils found themselves last year, expected to take the leap, but really underperforming. So a lot of eyes on the Red Wings. The team that I think is underperform in the Eastern Conference is actually going to be the Carolina Hurricanes, who have really been at the top of the Metropolitan Division, really Stanley Eastern Conference final, expectation. And then they weren't able to keep Jake Gensel. They weren't able to keep Brady Shea. They signed the coach to an extension, but it really just seems like the pieces really haven't been put together in a way that says, yeah, they're ready to continue at this level. I could see the Carolina Hurricanes being a team that disappoints and doesn't make the playoffs. Talked a lot about it already, but I do think the Devils are going to be that team that kind of replaces them, where it's going to be the Rangers, the Devils, and then, I don't want to say that it's going to be the Penguins, because I think they're still middle of the road, but a team that you could see back at the top there is actually the Islanders, I think, replacing the Canes in the top 3 spots. And the reason I say that is the addition of Anthony Duclair on that top line with Bo Horvat and Matthew Barzal. I think that line, Matthew Barzal, Bo Horvat, both over 80 points last year, both breakout seasons, complimentary player like Anthony Duclair, who's got skill, who's been on good teams. I think that's a team to look out for in the East. And then the team I'm really, really interested in watching in the West is the San Jose Sharks, who were the worst team in the NHL last year. Did a really nice job. Macklin Celebrini, number 1 overall draft pick. And they did a really good job picking up some pieces that, other teams had to shed for salary cap reasons. And I think that similar to, a good expansion draft, I could see the San Jose Sharks pressing new coaching staff, young. It's going to be interesting to see if they can press into a playoff spot. So those are some of the teams I'm looking at right now.
And Rock, I did some fact checking for you. We have it scrolling at the bottom of the show here. Just wanted the people to know that's how good we are. The Detroit Red Wings finished 9th in the league last year in goals per game at 3.35. So you were spot on with your statistics.
Yeah, so close. So it'll be a fun year. I think, pay attention to Colorado. Gabriel, I think it was Landeskog that came back from a pretty big injury. So that'll be a big addition. I think they underperformed a bit, to their liking last year. And then I got to be honest with you, and I know I'm biased to the East, but it's just a little bit easier for me for the people. But all eyes on the Boston Bruins right now. Contract negotiations not going well with goaltender Jeremy Swayman. Their 1A, 1B combo is not there anymore. The other guy went to Calgary. So all eyes on the Bruins. Can they figure it out contract-wise? And will they put the product on the ice that's expected to be there, which, will be a question mark, I think. Bruins question mark.
Yeah, that's a great point. I was reading something last night about how that the goaltender, what is his last name, Swayman or something like that? He said
Jeremy Swayman.
They're coming out now. His camp's coming out and saying that they didn't offer him the contract. The Bruins are saying they offered him. Rock, I don't care what sport you play. It is never good when you're in training camp same week as the start of the regular season, and these are the reports coming out. That doesn't really bode well for a team.
Yeah, this one's been pretty manufactured all summer too. A couple of rumors swirling on Spit and Chicklets. And then, people are reading into the 64 million reasons why Jeremy Swayman should sign. And that was a statement by Cam Neely in a press conference, which made everyone assume he got offered 64. So it's a lot of he shed, she shed right now. And that never makes for a good, player and franchise relationship, especially when it's your star player or your starting goaltender or quarterback, for example.
Nah, that's a great point. All right, last question before we end the show today, because we are up against the clock. If you told somebody to watch one game on opening weekend, like, hey, this set of people has never really watched hockey before, but for some reason they tuned on Hockey with Rocky and they're like, this guy makes this sport seem kind of fun. I got this Devils game in Czech Republic. Do I watch that? I got some other games that I could maybe watch. Do I wait till the actual start of the regular season next week? Rock, what would you say is the move? And oh, by the way, there's a brand new hockey team in Utah. So give us the one you think to watch over the weekend for the newbie hockey fan.
Ooh, it's going to be tough for me to pick one. Like I said, I love the Devils-Sabres game. I think that they'll show up big because they're overseas. But I would be circling Connor Bedard's first game in Chicago, year 2. Dude's probably hype. I could see him scoring a goal, maybe 2 goals in that home opener. I'd be looking at the San Jose Sharks to see what Macklin Celebrini does. I'd be looking at Edmonton to see what Connor McDavid does. But I would take the youngest star. And if you and definitely, and I'd probably choose Bedard. So I would go see what the Blackhawks are doing on opening day, and go see if you could become a fan of Connor Bedard and the Chicago Blackhawks.
Well, I have that answer for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
They're playing the Utah Hockey Club opening night, October 8th.
So you've got the old Phoenix Coyotes who sucked last year, who are looking to make a name. Right. And you've got the former first overall draft pick who's been, touted as, potentially the next Crosby, maybe in the aura or in the realm of those of great things.
Uh-oh. That might have been it.
First game, if it resonates with you, you've got someone you could cheer on for the next 20 years.
All right. Rocky Romanella, everybody. Hockey with Rocky. We're getting back. You know why? Because it's actually hockey season, Rocky. Thank you for joining the people.
Thanks for having me. Let's go, Mets. Real quick, I need 15 seconds to say I love
it. Has to be 15. Has to be.
Okay, Lindor, no celebration after he wins the game. Loved using champagne in the locker room when you got to get to Milwaukee. Rockey out. Talk to you later.
All right, hockey with Rockey. Now we'll give him the applause. Woo! Yes, unfortunately, we are up against it when we're on television, we have commercials, we have things we got to do, we have time clocks, and we have picks that we need to make, which we're going to make for the people right now. Okay. Yesterday, Andrew went 1-2. Why? Because the Finns and the Titans went over 37.5, and and Devin A-Chain for the Dolphins had an atrocious game. We didn't get to Monday Night Football tonight, but we will get more into that as the week goes on. So 1-2 day for Andrew. He moves to 102 and 84 overall. We're going straight baseball tonight because the postseason is starting. I'm going to start with the Padres and the Braves. I said before, I'll say it again, I'm going to take the Padres in that series. I'm also going to take them on game number 1 now that Chris Sale is no longer starting for the Bravos. So give me the Padres at the -1.5 in game number 1. No Sale. I want to take Tariq Skubal. That's right. He is the starting pitcher for the Detroit Tigers. I told you I've been hard on the Tigers. We're staying with them. Give me Skubal with over 5.5 Ks. You might ask, why is he taking that line? He's taking that line because Tariq Skubal has averaged 7.3 Ks per start over 31 games this season. And the Astros, who he's facing, even though a higher seeded team, averaged 7.2 Ks per game as an offense. So I'm going to split the difference. Give me Skubal over 5.5 Ks. And then I want Salvador Perez, the catcher for the Kansas City Royals, the wily veteran. Rocky and I talked about vets a lot today in terms of hockey. Give me Salvador Perez getting a hit today in the Royals versus Orioles. So Padres -1.5, Tariq Skubal over 5.5 Ks, and Salvador Perez with a hit plus for the Royals this evening. If you were wondering, Salvador Perez hit .271 this year at like 39 years old with 27 homers. That dude can rake, and we can say goodbye now because we got everything done. The Rome Show, 12ouncesports.com, Dingo TV channel 217. Let's go Mets is right. We are in playoff baseball. This is exciting, getting ready for week 5 of the National Football League. You stay right here, 12ouncesports.com, for all your sports needs. Andrew Romanella saying, be electric today. Peace.
Thank you for listening.